The reason a lot of relationships don't work is because there's a lot of small things that add up. And then when all those things, reach a certain level and blows up on your face is when, things go south. But if these little things were handled along the way, that big massive explosion will not happen, right? Because you're taking care of issue. You're aware that a relationship is not perfect, where it's a work in progress.
Hell of an intro, I tell you what you info, but I never really been the type of dude to give no info. But if you see your ends low and you trying to get a benzo, I'll give your ass some game that'll change the way that you think, bro. Super skilled with the pencil, super ill in my mental. I reminisce on life, I'm nice, here's my memento. Get it through your tempo, I get on any tempo and give it all I got. I'm hot, I got like 10 flows, trying to live on the 10th floor, across from residentials that I own. My mind stayed grown, I used to think clothes, I really used to think hoes and what I do to get those, and then I switched it up. I'm only thinking.
You know it is. We're back with another one. Hello, everybody. Walk and Grow podcast. Now, I need to really figure out a way to start these things, man. We're 7 months in. I still haven't figured something out. It's okay. It's whatever.
Started. That's all.
I know. I will start it eventually. Just let me get into the groove of it. You know what I mean? You gotta have a party with yourself sometimes.
You gotta have a party with yourself every time.
Then that's fair.
Because if you don't do it for yourself, who's gonna do it for you?
Amen.
Yeah.
No. This episode is inspired by an interaction I had over this past weekend, and it made me really appreciate my romantic relationship that I have today, because man, do y'all go through it? And I'm only giggling and laughing because it's like, man, some people go through it and it's just like, why do you put yourself through that strain? Why do you put yourself through that struggle? And I personally don't understand it. Maybe there's a bigger picture that I just need to see that person may be going through, but I just really don't understand. So I want to have that conversation with you, Francis, and I think we'll start it with just
Are you
saying,
sure you want to have this conversation with me?
I do, because you're a man of relationships. I mean,
dog, don't say it like that. It sounds like I've been in relationships left and right.
I mean, you said something really unique this past weekend that I was like, wow, that's actually really true. You said ever since you came to America, you've been in a relationship.
Yeah, which is true. Well, up until I took time to take care of myself.
Okay, but you're going too far. You're going too far.
Yeah.
You're going too far.
Yeah, I mean, it's true, because when I came, early on, I was in high school, and in high school I met somebody, that I really enjoy spending time with, and we made it happen. But it has its pros and cons. Relationship are meant to be an experience where you learn and you also put in the work. And when you're young, and still naive and ignorant to certain things, you may think that it's gonna be all colorful. But it's an experience to where you either gonna learn how to behave accordingly, or you're going to find bumps on the road. It's what you do with those bumps that will determine the outcome of that relationship.
So do you think a relationship under the age of, I'm going to say 18, is pointless?
I see, my problem with that is the words, right? When you say no, absolutely not. I will say no, it's not pointless.
And why do you say it that way then?
Because it's a learning experience.
Okay.
It allows you to figure out what you want and what you don't want.
But you don't have to get in a relationship to figure that out.
You don't. But without that aspect, there's certain things that you just won't be able to pick up on by yourself. I mean, yourself just, right now, yourself based off of your environment. Right. And based off of your character and qualities that you have. So in that environment portion, yourself when you're by yourself, yourself when you're with people. Do you know yourself when you're in a relationship? So you have to figure out what you like, what you don't like, what kind of partner do you even want? And those things are discovered through trials and tribulation. And I hate to say that, but some relationships are meant to be that test to, to see what you like and what you don't like. And that's why I think, I will give my son this advice, and go out there and figure out, what you want,
You don't think there's another way of doing that though? Because
there is, and that's by figuring out who you are first. I think it's important to figure out who you are first before you jump in a relationship. And that's one of the mistakes that I made early on, is I did not take that time.
I mean, you're not the only one. I think we've all made it, especially if you're younger and you're just getting into a relationship. You're gonna learn, you're gonna learn big time about a little bit more about yourself and what you don't and what you do like. And that's why I think, relationships to a certain extent, I think, are extremely helpful. But overall, I would say they're fairly pointless. And the reason why I say that, and don't hurt me now, please. And I'm only saying that it's pointless under a certain age, is because most people don't spend the time to know themselves, but also you get into these relationships, you're friends with the person prior to getting into that relationship, but after the relationship, you guys don't even speak to each other.
Well, that speaks on the maturity of the people that were in a relationship, because if I to this day, right, and all the relationship that I've been, there's only one person that I don't talk to.
You won't,
right?
You said
that I don't, and I won't for
Gotcha.
for a specific reason, right?
Mhm.
But everybody else that I've dated in the past, I try to find a mutual respect. A mutual respect is needed. You don't have to be body just because for the safety of your if you decide to be in a new relationship of your current relationship, right, and the respect of your new partner. But you don't, every past relationship does not have to end on a bad note.
Yeah.
If it's too mature individual, you will understand that, hey, it just doesn't work out between the two of us. And I've had mature endings like that, and you can see that you even rip the fruit of that relationship even more afterwards, because you made a true decision. You were true to yourself at that point. It's when you try to point fingers, that's usually when it becomes an issue. That's usually when you will come into an issue, in a situation where you no longer talk to each other, because you did not look at your own at your fault and at what errors you made. Because let's just put it out there, the reason a lot of relationships don't work is because there's a lot of small things that add up, and then when all those things reach a certain level and blows up on your face, is when things go south. But if these little things were handled along the way, that big massive explosion will not happen, right? Because you're taking care of issue. You're aware that a relationship is not perfect, where it's a work in progress. But if you don't do that, if you just expect everything to be rainbow and sunshine, then you're doing yourself a disservice. You're living a fairy tale.
Yeah. And I think right there, that's the best way to repair and either strengthen any relationship. It doesn't even have to be romantic, but specifically romantic relationship, I think, is the communication aspect. Because I could even speak on personal experiences of literally getting blown up, everything blowing up in my face. And I'm like, where did all this even come from? Like, what is happening right now? I was mind blown, but I think I've taken all of those experiences and I just related on to the next and just set the expectation. I've learned to set expectations very early and quickly, because the reason why I do that, because if you don't like it, that is fine. We didn't go anywhere. You didn't go anywhere. You didn't have any feelings or emotions. So this is easy for both of us to walk away. Whereas if you don't set the expectations, then 5 months, 2 years, 1 year later, you're like, man, this person isn't doing X, Y, Z for me. Or isn't doing something that is doing something that you don't like. Now you're going to throw a fit. Why are you throwing a fit now?
yeah well, there's a lot with that. Whether you're throwing a fit, you're setting up the expectation. I think for you at this level, or that you are on, you're able to set the expectation because you went through certain things that you didn't like.
Yeah.
right? That's where I think it's important to appreciate those relationships that did not work because they taught you something.
Yeah.
It's not that they're meaningless. I mean, it could have been a waste of time for sure, right? Because you could have been used that time to hang out with your boys or go to church. I don't know, whatever you do, but it's not. I don't see it as something that should not happen. In fact, I strongly encourage you to go out there and get in these relationship with caution, big
Okay. Yeah.
caution,
I was gonna.
right? Exactly. So
I was
big
gonna disagree
caution,
with you.
because when you're doing that, I mean, everything that you do, you have to have some sort of caution. You have to think it through before you take that action. When you're committing to somebody, you're committing, 9 times out of 10 at those early age, we're committing because of our emotional feelings. It's our emotion carrying us through this relationship. You think you love the person, but until they start not acting the way you want them to act, and then it's like,
I fucking hate
yeah,
you.
exactly, right? So it's how you handle this issue, and in fact, at that point, it's like, we're still in the mindset of, oh, hey, this is how a relationship should be. When truly in a relationship, you want to be supportive of your partner. You don't want to tell them who they should be, right? Because their life is entirely in their hands. You're just there as a support system, and be their biggest cheerleaders that you can be. But ultimately, it's up to them to find their true happiness within the relationship. It's not your job to make them happy, or to cater to some sort of expectation. Although boundaries needs to be set, right? There's certain things like, I know, you're not gonna go hang out all night when you have a girl. You feel me?
Yeah.
Because,
Well, some people will. Some people will.
well, but then that speaks about your relationship with your partner. If that's something that was communicated with your partner, and you're on the same page, that he or she doesn't care what time you come back, that's on you. But some people live with different rules, stricter rules. To each their own, but ultimately it comes down to that communication and learning from one another. I think if you're willing to humble yourself and learn from your partner, that relationship can be sweet, rather than you try to implement rules and regulations and expectation. I mean, you can set expectation based off of
who you are.
who you are,
and that's
right?
that's the expectation. I'm only setting expectation of who I am and how I would like to be treated, what my love language. I'm telling you who I am. I'm just sharing with you who I am. Now, if that's the way you like to be communicated with, then hey, then we can kind of come together a little bit closer. But if what I'm saying does not sit with you well, and you're like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna, that's your moment to just disappear.
Yeah.
And not even disappear, like you don't have to talk to the person ever again, but more or less just that it's not gonna work. And that's why I don't set expectations on anybody but myself. And I can only share with you the expectations that I have for myself. And it's either you're gonna align with it or you're not. And it's truly that simple, I think.
Yeah.
Of course, I can go dive deeper into this, but we're going to save that to the end, because I think I have a really cool thing that I could help people identify, what makes a good partner. But I want to ask you this question, time and time out, and this is really based off the conversation that I had this past weekend, time in and time out, we find ourselves in relationships that we no longer want, but we maintain them anyways. Why?
Who is that person that maintain a relationship that they no longer want? Give me an example.
Okay, and I'll give you one, literally. So this guy that I was meeting up with, met up with him, and he's actually in a relationship right now, and he's mentioned on multiple different occasions to this his significant other that he does not want to be in a relationship. But the other significant other is like, oh, come on, you're just lying, you're kidding, come on now. And he's mentioned that he's like, hey, I'm not happy because I'm not happy with the person. I'm outgrowing this person, and I no longer really want to be with this person for whatever. And there could be deeper things that I don't know. I refuse to, kind of dig into somebody else's business. But it was more or less just, the guy in this aspect is maintaining a relationship that he no longer wants. Now, why do you believe, or at least what from your experiences and from what you know or what you believe, Why do you think people maintain relationship that no longer fits them, aligns with them, or even they care to even, have anymore?
It
Like
could
that.
be the first thing that comes to mind. It could be based off of um their interests. I think when somebody is like staying in something that they don't want to be in, this remind me of what I used to do. I will go to a party although I know I don't want to be there, right? So why am I there? It could be to make other people happy. So I think in this scenario, it sounds like it could be someone bending over for someone else
Mm,
happiness and forgetting their own, you know, happiness at that point. If you don't want to be in something, don't be in it.
yeah,
If your heart really tells you, if you feel it in your guts that this is not what you need to do, don't do it.
yeah,
Don't do it, because whether if you do decide to commit to it, I believe it or not, down the line, Mother Nature would find a way to, remind you that you should have passed on that. So,
yeah, yeah,
karma is real. Karma, good karma and bad karma are real. That's why it's important to be true to yourself.
yeah.
Um,
As I was having the conversation, I'm trying to understand a little bit more. Like, man, you clearly don't want to be there. Why are you still there? No one's holding you with your hands behind your back, telling you got to do X, Y, and Z. Like, hey, first off, have a conversation with the person. I'm not going to tell anybody what to do. I think a simple conversation can fix it, or it can either allow people to understand, hey, we're not a good fit for each other. And I was like, man, have this conversation where he's like, I tried to, and it just never works. Okay, well, sit the person down and just say, hey, listen to me for once and have that conversation.
it's not
And
that easy, bro.
it,
It's
it, it
not.
nothing
It's
in
not.
life is nothing in life is easy. I'm not saying the conversation is going to be an easy one, but it's the effort of having those conversations, right? That I think is the most important part, rather than you just saying, oh, I don't want to be in this relationship. And even if you've tried to mention it, keep trying. Again, you could try oh so many times, but if you really want it, you're going to keep trying. But if you don't want it, just walk then.
Right. It's true, but again, when somebody cares about you, and in their mind, they see a future with you, they will do. I mean, bro, if you today you found, which you already did, is find somebody that you want to be with, you will do whatever it takes
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
be with that person, right? And I'm assuming from the person who has their emotions and feelings, involved deeply into this relationship, that's the outcome that they're looking for. While the other person is like, I don't see it happening. Now it's up to the person who doesn't see it happening to stay true to his colors, because the minute he commits and bend and say, hey, let's see how it goes, it could go well
Yeah.
or it could go really bad. So
If it goes bad, then it wasn't meant to be. Because a conversation like that, I don't personally think should go
right,
bad.
but you don't know that until you try,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
You don't know that until you try. I think, and that's one thing that I've realized even with my day to day. Like, I would not know what experience I'm gonna get until I commit to trying it,
Yeah.
right? And that's the same thing with this relationship, bro. You don't know what you want until I'm thankful for every single one of them, because it showed me certain colors and certain, experiences, and told me what I wanted and what I don't want, right? It was sweet, it was good, it was fun along the way, but the important thing is that you're learning through these experiences.
But
If
that's
you're not learning, then
yeah.
it's a complete
Waste.
waste of time. Complete waste of time. Like, you're just there for physical pleasure at that point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think you nailed it. You literally took the words right out of my mouth by saying, if you're not learning during those experiences and the things that you want to learn is, who are you and how do you like to be communicated and what kind of partner do you want? You can't literally look at the person and try to teach the person or try to teach the person about you. You have to literally just understand who you are and the things that you like around you that keeps you going, that keeps you high. on a high level of life so that you can keep trying to achieve and trying to do whatever it is that you're trying to do. But it's ultimately about learning who you are and what you want. Like, I could tell you one thing about me: don't nag me, because the moment you start nagging me, oh man, all hell's gonna break loose. And not in a bad way. It's just, hey, I'm gonna tell you right then and there, stop nagging me. And if you don't like that, then that's your problem, not mine. And that's where it kind of stops, and that's where it is. But that's just me understanding who I am and what I like and what I don't like. Now, if you know what you like and what you don't like, express it. I don't think there's anything wrong with expressing that.
Yeah, that's true. And what I'm gonna add to that is it comes down to two things: is one, are you willing to put 110% into this commitment, right? Because everything that we do is a commitment. We committed into doing this
Podcast.
this podcast. We committed to making sure that we are successful in the things that we do. And when you commit to something, your level of commitment to it will determine how successful you can be at it. So when you do hop in this relationship, don't go one leg in and one leg out. If you're gonna go in and commit to it, you go in all in, but also go in with the expectation that you're willing to learn from your experiences and from your partner as well. So if you're open to learning and you're open to putting in the work, well, you're already heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
But it's really you and yourself, and asking yourself this question is like, how committed am I to this situation? And I said that I really use the word committed because this applies to every single relationships that we have, even in the work environment. How committed am I to this company? Would I go the distance for this company? Would the company go the distance for me? Because if it's a relationship, you want to make sure that you have the peace of mind that you can trust the other end of this relationship, right?
Trust.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Trust.
So
I have to say it again.
and these things are hard to gain at a young age, or even at a young phase of a relationship. That's why relationship gets better with time. Time is really our best friend. Time is our best ally. And some people think that time is a burden, and by that I mean those who get married quickly, those who don't take the time to really gel together and get to know each other, and they just dived in and quickly. I mean, if you know from day one, by all means, kudos to you. But I think that time only makes that those two sweeter, because that's really when that 1 + 1 = 1 really makes sense. With time is when you become one unit, because you're able to be in harmony with one another. And
Right.
being in harmony means that you basically all of the two of you are on the same page when it comes to the direction that you're heading.
Yep. Yeah. And I would say that even if you haven't found somebody that could literally be on the same page with you, don't let that discourage you for keep searching. Hey, just live your life continuously to understand who you are, right? And then let it just really flow. Literally go with the flow. And that's really my big, that's the cheat code, I think. I'm not against relationship. In fact, I'm actually in a relationship, and I am not an expert about relationships. I refuse to be one. I just understand who I am as a human being and what I want out of life. And hey, I'm just looking for the person to kind of align with me. Hey, if you have similar goals and hey, similar goals, you're attractive, let's see if we can get to know each other a little bit more, to then see if we should take it further. Not let's go take it further, if we should take it further. Because at that point in stage, just because you know each other, just because you like each other, just because you find each other attractive, you have similar goals, that does not mean you're a perfect fit. You still have to do the due diligence and to understand the person.
We like the same TV show. Let's start dating.
Yikes.
But I think that you want to make sure that both party really understand what it takes to be in a relationship. I think for me, the cheat code is knowing what you want. You individually knowing what you want. And to know what you want, you have to have some sort of experience. Some people don't. Some people, were raised by perfect parents and they're P's and Q's and know what they want from the beginning. And if you do, bravo, go ahead and continue to shine.
Mhm.
But for those of us who did not have the privilege to know, early on what we wanted, or at least, what we thought we wanted, we learned through trials and tribulation. We learned through failure, through, these experiences. So if you don't know what you want, treat those relationships with caution, and be true to yourself, and be, open to this communication. But I'm at a point in my life right now where I know exactly what I want. My girlfriend right now, I'm gonna be dating her. We're gonna be together for a long time, right? And it will go beyond the girlfriend, stage,
Yeah.
because I know what I want, and I communicate that to this individual every day, right? So if you're just in this relationship for a specific reason that that does not benefit the two parties, then bro, get yourself out of there.
So question though.
Like, if you're in there, like, by that I mean, if you're in there, you're just for your own interests, right? Or she needs to be a great, mother. She needs to know how to cook. She needs, like, all these things that will only benefit you. You're in it for the wrong reason.
So when you say make sure you know what you want, are you saying make sure you know what you want in a partner? Or are you
Yes.
saying, gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. So besides that, I would say the cheat code that I think I've identified is knowing the type of lifestyle that you want to live, and finding a partner that can fulfill the not fulfill your goals, but can grow with you with the type of lifestyle that you want. So I'll kind of dive deep into it a little bit here. But let's just say, hey, you want to travel a lot, right? You're a person that likes to travel. You want to go to see all these different cities. You like to party in these different cities. You have to find a partner that likes to do that as well. So yes, that is kind of what you kind of on the line of what Francis said already, know what you want, but it's also understanding what does that person want their life to be like? Because everyone has an idea and a vision, some sort of thought process of how they want their life to be. Some may be, hey, I just want to travel all day and all night. And if you don't know that, then of course it's going to cause chaos down the future, because if you get in a relationship today, it's not always going to be the same. You got to kind of, not to say prepare for the future, but you got to understand where the person is, where their mindset is, where they're heading, where their future is headed, I should say. And that's going to give you the best idea of, if this person is even, a fit for you. Now, if somebody hasn't thought about it, now now you have the decision to make. Do I help this person? Not even help this person. Do I help this person see their future and see if it aligns? Or do I just allow them to give themselves time to figure it out themselves? And if you guys come together, then you come together. But I truly indeed think, like, understanding what a person wants within their future, like how they really want to live their life, and seeing if that even aligns with you. That's one of the easiest things. And if somebody hasn't thought about it, then that could say something as well.
Yeah, that's true. But the work really start with yourself.
With 100%, you have
Like,
to.
all of these works really do start with yourself, because if you're going with the wave and expecting it to be perfect, you're lying to yourself, right? If you're gonna go with the wave, expect that road to be bumpy at some point. And if you know that it's gonna be bumpy at some point, make sure that the communication between the two parties is very solid. That's why, like, for me, for example, me and my girl, like, I'm gonna just put it out there. We have a foundation, and our foundation is God. We pray together, we read together, and that strengthens our relationship. How many relationships do you know where people pray together? Because if your prayer is truly asking God for something, you should be able to do that with your significant other.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not obviously saying that everybody out there should go and do the same thing, but I'm just saying identify what works for you and your girl, right? And for you and your partner. It could be something simple as going to the movie on Friday. That strengthens the relationship, right? Every other Friday we go to the movie. It could be something simple as, if it's a long distance relationship, as FaceTime at a specific time every week, right? but whatever works to me, let's see, the purpose of life is to grow, right? And to enhance our experience to be better. It's the same concept for these relationships. So if you want your relationship to grow and you know and be enhanced, you're gonna have to put in that work, right? And you're gonna have to be committed to the point where you're in there. You're in there really.
Yeah.
But these things comes with experience, bro. If you asked me the same question back in 2009, 2010,
Oh,
2011,
I don't have an
I
answer.
will tell you that, bro. I just want to have fun. That will be my answer.
Literally.
That my answer. Like now that I think about it, the naive me will be like, I just want to have fun.
My
Because
answer would have said that, but it'd been a lot more explicit for this episode.
Yeah. So now fun part is out the window, and you realize that hey,
Yeah.
love can really be a beautiful thing, or it could be a dark thing, depending on how you look at it, depending
Right.
on the experience that you went. There are times where you realize that hey, this learning experience, I could have saved myself the past 6 months. I could have saved myself the past year. All right. But you already went through it. So you're not going to dwell on the fact that that time is gone. Like, I'm not going to dwell on the fact that, I was in a certain situation that I didn't want to be in.
Mm-hmm.
But what you do is you look at it and you're like, how do I make sure that doesn't happen again? Right.
Uh-huh.
Right. So what type of partner do I want to be with to where I'm at peace and don't have to look over my shoulder on certain things, things like that. But everybody's unique, man. We all have different ways of thinking, different ways of doing things. That's why it's important to really identify what works for you, because by identifying what works for you, then in like who you need to surround yourself with and what kind of relationships you need to build around you to strengthen your relationship. And it's also good to have cheerleaders. I think every relationship are successful because there are cheerleaders involved. And by that, I mean, who are some people that you can go and confine to and talk to about your relationship?
I disagree.
And then you could get it. I mean, I'm not saying that's the source of your decision making,
but that's what it comes down to. Be careful with what you're saying, because that's truly indeed what it comes down to. When you have a person that you go and source, if you're gonna have an outside source, somebody that doesn't know you, somebody that doesn't,
well, you're not gonna have somebody, bro. Obviously, I'm not gonna have somebody that doesn't know me. I'm gonna have somebody that, in fact, knows me more than anybody else, and that's the person that I can go to and they talk about it. Talk about my experiences, because sometimes if you have all these things bundled up in your head, you might only be seeing one perspective.
Right.
I'm not saying you just take whatever they tell you, whatever your friend or this individual tells you. I'm saying it's a different perspective that allows you to see the full picture before you make a decision.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I can see that. Like, understanding. I just didn't want everyone listening to be like, okay, I'm gonna confine to one friend and
then do everything they tell me. Nah,
because that's where you put yourself in a situation where it's like, hey, maybe that friend doesn't even have the best interest for you. So definitely, with a grain of salt, understand if you're going to somebody else, just look at their perspective and see how does it make sense to you. And if it doesn't make sense, continue to ask questions until it does.
Yeah. And I just want to make it clear that here, like Ron or myself, we're no relationship guru in here.
Yeah, I don't want.
What we're doing is just sharing our experiences on how the relationship that we went through affected where we are today, and seeing what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, what could have been avoided, and what needed to happen for us to be here. It's not like we're here telling you what you have to do with your life. Ultimately, it's your decision. But it's good to hear from other people's experiences. That's why we're sharing our experience here.
That's how you learn, man. You learn from other people. You can't just learn through yourselves and only, because if you continuously try to learn through yourself, you'll spend forever in a decade, and we don't have forever in a decade. to
Yeah.
live. So there's
Yeah.
only one way to do it. You got to learn from other people's experiences and what did they do to mitigate or even learn from whatever they did. And
Yeah.
that's how you make better choices. It's through other
Yeah.
people's experiences and failures. Sad to
Yeah.
say, but it's the truth. We're all going to fail some way, somehow. It's just
Yeah.
a matter of, hey, how do we reduce the amount of failures that we have? And so we can live a prosperous life the way that we want to live.
Right.
Because I'm going to say this, man, don't let social media fool you.
Right.
Please don't.
Absolutely. And that's, oh, man, I
That's what
can't, bro, that is the way you say that. It might sound light, but that is a very strong statement. It is very easy to be fooled by the things that we see on these platforms. And it's important to understand that these platforms do not build you. You built yourself. So don't just take it to, take what matters to you, filter through the noise. But one thing I wanted to add in terms of, I hear this question in my head right now. I'm sure somebody will think of it as they're listening to this podcast. Somebody will probably ask you, Ron, what makes your current relationship different than the previous ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think for me, I look back, it is the fact that they took the time to know myself more.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's one of them for me as well. Like there was a period of time where I was like, no relationships. I need to focus on myself.
Yeah.
And I need to understand what it is that I'm trying to achieve, what it is that I want. And I would say, in addition to that, I took the time to get into this relationship.
Exactly.
I didn't rush.
Right, exactly.
I did not have a time frame.
That's the
as to
second one.
when, yeah, I did not have a time frame as to, hey, I need to be in this relationship at this point in time. No, I took the time. The person I'm with currently understood I was taking time. They didn't rush me. I didn't rush her.
Yeah.
It was literally, let's get to know each other. Let's make this work. And let's see if it's something that we can do long term.
Yeah.
It's just being patient, allowing time to do its job.
Exactly. It's his job. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That right there is powerful, that allowing time to do its job without compromising your integrity and compromising who you are. You're still true to yourself within the relationship, but you're also giving time the opportunity to work.
I'm gonna drop something right now just to let people know, like the person I'm with right now, we weren't dating for an entire year. I want you to sit on that, right? We were not dating for an entire year. Yeah, we were getting to know each other, but entire year, we did not have a date. We didn't make it official. It was just, hey, that's my partner. We're getting to know each other. But at any point in time throughout that year, we both could have left.
Right.
So we took an entire year to get to understand each other. So when I say time, I'm not talking a couple of months.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm saying we spent time to get to know each other. So,
yeah,
you use your own metrics, you use your own system that works for you, but
yeah, your matrix could be 90 days. Your matrix could be
Right.
60 days. Your matrix could be 30 days. Whatever works for you, but don't feel as though you have to conform to a certain, regulation of, hey, you're gonna wait a year, or no, it's your own judgment and what works for you.
Exactly.
What gives you that peace of mind when you make this decision? You know that, hey, the outcome of this, I'm happy with it, right? So go out there and make those right decisions, but do not feel as though you have to please others and put your own happiness on a bind. Because I think when I look back, it's like, the more I got to know about myself, I realized that there was a lot of situation where I stayed in because I care too much about either what people will say or how, like, the other individual. And by getting to know me more, I really realize, I'm able to set certain, I'm able to see really the true color of what it means to love somebody. And I really love the person that I'm with right now. I don't think I've been this happy in a long time. And it's not even to be, to make it cliche or, or just because, I'm in it right now. It's mostly because I see the work that I put in. and how the rewards that I'm reaping right now in terms of the happiness and the harmony that we have in our relationship is because I put in that time to really get to know myself. Otherwise, I'm no good to nobody. Like you wouldn't want to date me if I don't put in the work to get to know myself, right?
Everything you're saying is 100% facts. It's I don't disagree with it. It's, truly indeed. You just got to take the time, man.
Shout out
And
to my girlfriend while we at it.
shout out to mine too. You made me do that one. Nah, you got good. When you have a good woman in your life, you have a little bit more direction, I will say. I mean, they all say it. No house is built without a woman, man. I mean,
That's true, bro. That's true.
so if you really want to take things further, you really want to take whatever you're trying to do further as a man, and I'm speaking to the men at the moment. You gotta have a partner that can hold you down and keep you in check and in line, because if you leave it up to the men, man, we're all gonna chew each other up immediately, and that's just how men are. We're all just men that don't really think. We gotta have somebody that's to settle us. And I'm speaking more for myself at this point, is having somebody that could settle me down, and then I could see different perspectives and understand, more than what it is that I just see. Because if you leave it up to me, oh man, I'm like a tiger, bro. That's it.
Yeah. Ultimately, it comes down to that process of committing to something, committing to somebody. What does it take to commit to a relationship, to commit to to a job, to commit to a task?
You gotta be happy.
A commit to I don't know, an organization of some sort, a gang, for those of you who enjoy that kind of stuff. It's when you're joining a group, you're joining something, a mastermind group, let's put it that way. You go in there with the expectation, knowing that this is a safe place for me. Have you ever noticed how when your relationship is going well, everything else around you seems to be going well too?
Yep.
So it really goes to say that those, our partners are really our rock. They are our foundation. So you want to make sure you find one that will shine brighter than anything that you have ever seen. And that's the one you want to keep.
Yeah. And support.
Exactly. Exactly. No, in fact, you want to support more than anything.
Yeah.
Because that person is there for a reason and has an agenda of their own as well.
Yeah.
Right. So don't think they're there just for you and it's to accommodate your need or whatever. It's
that's where understanding someone's future is going to be extremely helpful, because now you can understand, where you can support them as well and support their goals, support the things that they want to do within their life.
Right. Now, here's the curveball that kind of allowed me to have the experiences that I have right now. Being vulnerable in a relationship is important. I said that because I wasn't in previous relationship. There's a lot of things I feel as though, why would I tell this person? Like, I don't think they need to know. I don't think, they can help me with it. But there are certain things, just the fact that you put it out there is already a solution. Without you kind of seeking for advice, just being vulnerable and opening up to your partner, and just really opening up to your partner about certain things that you normally would not open up to somebody else. It shows it shows a level of commitment that will only be beneficial to the two of you at some point, right? Because you're allowing your partner to know more about you at that point, and you're also allowing yourself to learn more about what your partner thinks of your relationships and how your partner can help you in some of these scenarios, in some of the situation. Being vulnerable is important in a relationship. It's especially for us male. It's easy to feel as though, I can do it all. I don't need to ask you anything. Like, just let's just do what we got to do. and I'm gonna deal with my stuff on the side, whether it's business related or corporate, whatever outside that the thing that you're afraid to bring up to the table with your partner is what you should bring up to the table.
Yeah. That's
I'm
your
gonna
partner.
just leave it at that. Yeah.
And that's your partner at the end of the day. You want them to understand what's going on. Because if you don't, you give him all rights to leave you because you weren't being honest.
Right. And put in the work, man. Relationship is a work. It's a
job. It's an investment in
it's
itself,
harder
man.
than a 9 to 5. I'm gonna tell you that.
It's an investment in itself, man. Everybody wants their investment to yield them the crazy amounts of returns. So
and I don't mean hard like a burden. Sorry. It's just one of those things you need to commit. You need to put in the work.
If you want your investment to yield you the right thing, make sure you do your research, make sure you do your due diligence to make sure that the partner is a partner that you're willing to put a lot of time, effort, money into, because in the end, that's what it's going to ultimately come down to.
Not so much of the money, because
you said I said time, I said effort, and I said money. No, relax.
I know. But I'm just saying that, bro. I'm trying to help you here because
money.
I have made these mistakes.
I've
made these mistakes.
You cannot avoid money.
I've made these mistakes where I was in a relationship and I was spending beaucoup money, and look where I'm at now, right? So I'm in a relationship where, bro, this relationship saves me money. So it's like spending money is not always a good thing.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not saying you have to spend all amounts of different type of enormous amounts of money. No, but money is a factor. You want to support your lady. You want to support your household.
And you want to talk about finance with your partner.
Absolutely.
You really do want to talk about finance. Talk about those effed up credit you may have if you do. Talk about those unnecessary purchase you may have. Go return that Mercedes, that Lambo. So it's and you know what, that's sometimes, like, I've talked to people who have who've been who've been married and been divorced and stuff like that, and you hear a lot of it really revolves around communication. Communication and that boils down to how the money was handled within that relationship as well.
Absolutely.
So there are these things that you feel as though you shouldn't talk to your partner about. I strongly urge you to go out there today and bring it up. It's like, hey, I've had this, this weird voice in my head telling me these things. Can we talk about it? Trust me, you're going to sleep very well afterwards, because it will put you in a position where you don't have to question anything afterwards, right? And you're building a stronger relationship at that point, because you're able to be open with one another about things that a lot of people these days, frankly, don't do.
Yep. And now I think I'm gonna end it on this note, right? And this is not my statistic. This is something that you can actually Google and see it for yourself. And we just had this episode to help everyone. I'm not married at the moment, but I don't foresee myself being part of the statistic at all. And the statistic is almost 50% of marriages in the United States will end in a divorce or separation. Don't be one of those. Take the time to understand who your partner is and know what you want and know what they want, so you guys can both continuously actually be in a relationship that is worthwhile. That the fact that it's 50% is just like, man, everyone's just getting into a marriage or relationship for the sake of just getting into one. I mean, half of them.
But bro, it's easy to see on social media. Hey, so and so got married. Boom, 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 boom. And then you looked in your bedroom and you're laying there by yourself. Some people will feel some type of way about that, right? It's like, how's everybody getting married and I'm here? I don't even have a partner. People needs to be loved. We all deserve to be loved to a certain degree, but don't let current situation, make you feel as though you're not being loved.
You're right. And what you just said, you literally just contradicted yourself, but
I contradicted myself?
How? Yeah, because you said the people that want to be loved are not being loved, but you just said that, hey, your current situation is a love in itself.
No, well, that's what I'm saying, because you have a lot of people in situation where, because they are not in a relationship, they feel as though they will never be in one. They feel as though they're not loved, right? So while in reality, in the true sense of things, you're always loved. You just choose not to see it.
There you go.
cause I know the life I want. I'm just setting it up. Removing those that's close who try messing it up. Can't wait for champagne toast with the relevant bunch. Like, what's up? Yeah. Like, what you do, homie? What's your vision? How you thinking? How you move, homie? And is you cool, homie? You thinking building, then that's something we could do, homie.